Welcome to TV Africa News. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Nahaba Kajura. But first are the headlines. Ugandans now own 15% of MTN Uganda. Doctors threaten to withdraw emergency services if their demands are not met. And South African court orders Zuma to return to jail. In our sports today, Admin Ballet Heroes maintain 100% run in the 2021-2022 Region League. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. We start with one of our top stories. Now, Ugandans now own 15% of MTN Uganda. This follows the successful completion of the MTN initial public offering, which culminated into the listing of the telecom on the Uganda Securities Exchange. We have more on this report.
The listing was a regulatory obligation of the telecom in fulfillment of its second national telecom operator license in accordance with the National Broadband Policy of 2018, which sought to increase local participation in the telecom sector. Following its listing, MTN, whose shareholding structure only comprised 40% local ownership prior to the IPO, has now welcomed more Ugandans to share in its growth story. Arguably, millions of Ugandans whose savings are kept with the National Social Security Fund, which is now the second largest shareholder with 8.84% stake in the company. Other shareholders include Bank of Uganda and Uganda Revenue Authority staff schemes, to mention but a few. Listing of MTN and in turn augmentations of local ownership in the company presents multifaceted opportunities for shareholders and the economy at large. Local shareholders holding a 15% stake in MTN Uganda will get to enjoy dividend payouts by the telecom subject to the company's dividend policy. This investment has the potential to put more money into the pockets of Ugandans, as a result boost economic activities in the country. To achieve the success, MTN employed a robust sensitization campaign and trailblazing innovation that has revolutionized Uganda's capital market. MTN Uganda Chief Executive Officer Wim van Helpoort said the media interviews held on the sidelines of the listing event that the telecom had held over 3,000 town halls, hundreds of radio and television engagements, and the multiple social media interactions.
Well, thank you so much, reporter. Moving on, medical workers under their umbrella body, the Uganda Medical Association, have vowed to withdraw emergency care services from all government hospitals if their issues are not addressed. We have more.
Addressing a news conference yesterday in Kampala, the President, Uganda Medical Association, Dr. Samuel Oledu, warned that if their demands are not met, members of the association would withdraw all emergency care being offered to patients as doctors continue with their industrial action.
Do you know that we've lost doctors because of stress-related conditions, traumatized by the environment? We cannot keep seeing patients die every day. We can't see that. And we are saying enough is enough. A doctor Zoe. Enough is enough. Ra, 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 ra.
In a December 10th letter, the Ministry of Health ordered striking medical interns to vacate hospitals in a week and pave way for graduate colleagues. Dr. Oledu said that they would withdraw emergency services if medical interns are chased from their residencies.
I want to make it categorically clear to the entire government today that if they do touch any of the interns at places of residence, then we shall withdraw emergency services with immediate effect.
Medical interns have expressed their disappointment in the Ministry of Health for not responding to their issues, saying they are doing the most work in hospitals, yet they are the least paid.
They know that we are always there 24/7. In fact, if a patient comes and it's an emergency and you're not there, the hospital director will call and ask, who is the intern on duty? They will not even ask who is the doctor on duty, who is employed by public service. They will say, who is the intern on duty? Why would a patient die when we have interns in hospitals? The question is, what is their role in improving the welfare of medical interns? When these directives have not been implemented, where have they been? Have they reached out to their bosses in the Ministry of Health or to Finance or to government and say, you know, our interns are crying, they are not well?
After a meeting with President Museveni on December 2nd, Dr. Herbert Truswata, the General Secretary of Uganda Medical Association, said the President had agreed to enhance doctor salaries in the next financial year and give each doctor a tax-free vehicle. President Yoweri Museveni reportedly also ordered the Minister of Health to ask for all the money she needs to address the problem of unreliable supply of personal protective equipment for health workers. Uganda Medical Association said in the President's commitment, the salary of medical officers will be increased to 5 million shillings, senior medical consultants 17 million Ugandan shillings, and intern doctors 2.5 million Ugandan shillings. Intern doctors currently earn 750,000 shillings, entry-level doctors 3 million shillings, and consultants 7.3 million Ugandan shillings. The doctors marched to Parliament to petition the Speaker Jacob Oulanyah before being intercepted by Ugandan police. Nalugo Muyingo, Africa Today.
Away from that, the Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Oulanyah, has revealed he intends to organize a special debate where all legislators will be given an opportunity to debate the Uganda we want. We have more on this report.
According to the Speaker, the debate will generate collective understanding of what government plans to do, hence enabling legislators to critique with knowledge and focus. However, opposition legislators led by their chief whip John Baptist Nambeshe said such a debate will never see the light of the day because it will be frustrated by the national resistance movement. This is the second time the Speaker of Parliament Jacob Oulanyah is tabling the proposal. Oulanyah said the debate will guide Parliament on the execution of government agenda for the people and generate collective understanding of what government plans to do and why. The debate, according to the Speaker, is expected to be organized early next year. Majority of the legislators welcomed the Speaker's proposal of a special debate, saying it will give an opportunity to iron out the outstanding issues affecting Uganda's democracy and development. Some legislators like Nambeshe expressed doubt on whether it will take place.
Well, thank you so much, our reporter. We take a quick break. We shall come back with the international news. Welcome back from the break. You're still watching TV Africa, the right to know. In international news today, the Sudanese army has been deployed along the disputed border with Ethiopia. Now the military announced they have full control of the region, increasing the tensions with Addis Ababa. Our reporter has more.
On December 1st, Sudanese troops announced they had dismantled and taken control of an Ethiopian settlement in the disputed Al-Fashaga area. The announcement followed reports that 21 Sudanese soldiers had been killed and 30 others wounded in clashes with Ethiopian forces in Bakat Noren in the disputed area 4 days earlier. Relations between Khartoum and Addis Ababa have sold over Al-Fashaka, a border zone long cultivated by Ethiopian farmers but claimed by Sudan. Tensions rose after fighting erupted in Tigray in November 2020, which sent tens of thousands of refugees fleeing into Sudan. Khartoum and Addis Ababa have since been locked in a tense war of words over the region, trading accusations of violence and territorial violations. Following the clashes, Sudan's military ruler, Lieutenant Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, vowed that his country would not cede an inch of territory to Ethiopia.
Away from that, former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin pleaded guilty on Wednesday to a federal charge of violating George Floyd's civil rights, admitting for the first time that he kept his knee on Floyd's neck after even he became unresponsive, resulting in the black man's death. Now, Chauvin, who is white, was convicted this spring of state murder and manslaughter charges in Floyd's May 25th, 2020 death, and was sentenced to 22.5 years. Our reporter has more.
In his federal plea on Wednesday, Chauvini admitted he willfully deprived Floyd of his right to be free from unreasonable seizure, including unreasonable force by a police officer, by kneeling on Floyd's neck even though he was handcuffed and not resisting. A second federal count in Floyd's death was dismissed, but Chauvini pleaded guilty to another count in an unrelated 2017 case. Chauvini appeared in person for the change of the plea hearing, said guilty, Your Honor, to confirm his pleas, and acknowledged that he committed the acts alleged. Chauvini could have faced life in prison on the federal count, one possible incentive for him to avoid trial. Under the plea agreement, both sides agreed Chauvini should face a sentence ranging from 20 to 25 years, with prosecutors saying they would seek 25. The final sentence will be up to the United States District Judge Paul Magnuson, but Chauvini is likely to face more time behind bars than he would on the state charges alone. 3 other former officers, Thomas Lane, Jeu Kueng and Tou Thao, were indicated on federal charges alongside Chauvini. Floyd's arrest and death, which a bystander captured on cell phone video, sparked mass protests nationwide calling for an end to racial inequalities and police mistreatment of black people. Chauvini also pleaded guilty to violating the rights of a 14-year-old boy during a 2017 arrest in which he held the boy by the throat, hit him in the head with a flashlight, and held his knee on the boy's neck and upper back while he was prone, handcuffed and not resisting. According to evidence in the state case against Chauvini, Kueng and Lane helped restrain the 46-year-old Floyd as he was on the ground. Kueng knelt on Floyd's back and Lane held down Floyd's legs. Thao held back bystanders and kept them from intervening during the 91-minute restraint. All 4 former officers were charged broadly in federal court with depriving Floyd of his rights while acting under government authority. The other 3 former officers are still expected to go to trial on federal charges in January, and they face state trial in aiding and abetting counts in March.
Away from that, 1 week after the first at the Gitega prison in Burundi, families of other victims are still in the dark about the remains of their loved ones. Now, some have already lifted their partial mournings, while others are still waiting for the bodies of their loved ones, but all in vain. We have more on this report.
An orphaned father following the fire at the Gitega Central Prison said that after the fire, they learned that their father was among the victims, adding that they waited for the burial but in vain, and they organized the partial mourning in accordance with Burundian tradition. Families complained they have not been given access to remains of the victims. Legal representatives believe the state should have been involved in the funerals. Tatien Sibomana, former prosecutor of the Gitega prison, lamented that these funerals should have been organized by the state, adding that failing that, at least the bodies should have been returned to their respective families so that they could organize the funerals themselves. The penal establishment has a capacity of 400 inmates, but housed more than 1,500 prisons. Former prosecutor raises the issue of overcrowding and suggests an alternative. According to the official figures, 38 people died and 69 were injured in the fire. As of 26 November, Burundi's 11 prisons held 12,878 prisoners for a capacity of 4,924 according to the prison administration.
Moving on, South Africa's High Court ordered former President Jacob Zuma to return to jail after setting aside an earlier decision to release him on medical parole, according to a court judgment on Wednesday. Our reporter has more. The 79-year-old began medical parole in September, and he is serving a 15-month sentence for contempt of court after he ignored instruction to participate in a corruption inquiry. In the same month, South Africa's top court dismissed a bid by Zuma to overturn the sentence. The legal processes against him for alleged corruption during his 9-year reign are widely viewed as a test of post-apartheid South Africa's ability to enforce the rule of law, particularly against powerful, well-connected people. Zuma handed himself in on July 7th to begin his prison sentence, triggering the worst violence South Africa had seen in years as his angry supporters took the streets. The protests widened into looting and an outpouring of anger over the hardship and inequality that persist in South Africa 27 years after the end of apartheid. More than 300 people were killed and thousands of businesses were pillaged and razed. The Department of Correctional Services say that it was studying the judgment and will make any announcements at a later time. Zuma's presidency between 2009 to 2018 was marred by widespread allegations of graft and wrongdoing, and he faces a separate corruption trial linked to his sacking as deputy president in 2005 when he was implicated in a $2 billion government arms deal. The trial against Zuma, which has been held for up to many years on multiple charges including corruption, racketeering and money laundering, is expected to continue next year. He denies wrongdoing in all cases and says he is a victim of a political witch hunt meant to marginalize his faction within the ruling African National Congress. Well, thank you so much, reporter. We take a quick break. We shall come back with the business news. Welcome back from the break. You're still watching TV Africa, the right to know. In a business news today, Libya's oil and gas minister said on Tuesday that his country had a promising future, pointing to large oil and gas reserves that he suggested could generate enormous wealth for the North African nation. We have more on this report.
Speaking in the capital Tripoli, Mohamed Oyoun said Libya had 48 billion barrels of crude oil reserves and 52 trillion cubic feet and 1.47 trillion cubic meters of natural gas. Noting the International Energy Agency's plans to drastically reduce oil consumption and carbon emissions in the next decades, Oyoun stressed there was pressure on the Libyan state to work on large projects to exploit this wealth to develop the country. He said oil revenues, which constitute 95% of the Libya's income, should be invested in infrastructure, city development, health and education. Oyoun said that the basis is for the Libyans to live a decent life, given that the oil wealth is enormous compared to the population of Libya. Libya's oil production is currently about 1.3 million barrels per day, and it may be increased to 1.8 million barrels per day in the coming year.
Now let's turn your attention to our health news today. Communication is important in expression of one's thoughts, desires and feelings to other parties, but this has been a great challenge for people with hearing impairment. Let's take a look at this story. To open up the communication world to the deaf, Eli Savatia and Lumona, together with their team at Vis-a-Vis, have developed an assertive technology referred to as Echonoma. The app, they say, helps to facilitate communication between the hearing community and those with hearing impairment. Eli Savatia, the Chief Executive Officer at Vis-a-Vis, say that the innovation aims to promote confidentiality in communication between the deaf and hearing community, especially where sensitive information is involved. Mulengwa explained that it can be used in areas like hospitals, banks where sensitive information are shared, where you can't have a third party there because you can't share your bank PIN or something like that if you are a deaf person. Echonoma has its translations in English and decodes Kenyan Sign Language to either audio or text. The application has two major opinions. So there is that one translating from sign language And there is the next option, which is translating to sign language, so that hearing a person can use this one for translating to sign language. Like for any other innovation, the duo said they have experienced many challenges during data collection and training the software to encode signs from different people. They say that the work continues and will not stop until they are able to give more and more people with hearing impairment a chance to communication. In Africa Today Sports, Admin humbled Galaxy 2-0 with Alan Chirunda's penalty and Kenneth Majara's goal on match day 2 at Paya Playground. Now, the struggle and quest to secure the treasured FIFA Big League slowed continues for all clubs in the respective third division, tiers, or the region leagues. Our reporter has more.
Tororo-based Administrator and Mbale Heroes are some of the Eastern Region clubs that have started strongly in the 2021-2022 season under the Bukedi pool. In the latest game played, Admin humbled Galaxy 2-0 with Alan Kirunda's penalty and Kenneth Majara's goal on match day 2 at Paya Grounds. This followed the first victory during the opening match day when they won 3-0 on the road over Mbale Garage at Mbale Municipal Stadium. Charles Akena, Kosia Waiswa and Alan Kirunda were on target. Other results on match day witnessed Mbale Heroes, coached by assistant Edgar Sharp Woji, humiliate Busia Fisheries 5-1. John Sekaya, Ivan Wako, Dennis Messi Konde, Derek Dangacha and an own goal from the Busia Fisheries goalkeeper inspired Mbale Heroes to this great victory. Boji, Mbale Heroes assistant coach, attested that the target is to get promotion to the FIFA Big League, where every game counts in their minds. Former top flight side Jinja Municipal Council were 3-1 winners over Walkukuba. Norton lost 1-0 to Islamic University in Uganda. Bujiride School HD Budondo 2-1, Jinja North Pipe Timupunde 1-0, and Busia Young won 1-0 over Igang Young. The contest between Busia United and Mbale Garage ended goalless.
Well, thank you so much for being our loyal audience from when we started from. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We shall keep updating you. It is TV Africa, The Right.